students, and welcome to our third Python video for Python for Beginners. So in our previous videos we've done output first of all, so we did printing things to the screen with the keyword print. That's about all the output. Next we did some variables, so that is basic processing, so that's getting data and putting it into boxes. So now the third step that we should be doing now is basic input, so how to get input from the user. So it's actually very easy in Python, just like how it is very easy to output things to the screen and very easy to declare variables, it's also extremely easy to get input. But we need to use variables in order to get input, because the input is the data that we're getting from the user. But if we have no way to store it and we have no variable to store it in, then it will be pointless and we won't actually be able to use the data that we get given. So I'm going to say, so we're going to go back to our famous variable number and equal. So we're assigning a variable, but instead of actually putting a value here, we're going to write the keyword input and open and close parentheses. And it's as simple as that, just for getting input from the user. In input, you can also put a question that you could ask to entice the user to enter something, because otherwise they wouldn't know. So let's say enter a number. So now if we run this, you see we get the output enter a number, and we're here. So then let's say I type in 7, then our script will end. So now we have the variable number. So if I do that again and I type 7, and now I call from the shell the variable number, we should get 7. But however, you notice that they are in these little quotation marks. So, and if you remember from previous videos, when you have quotation mark, that means a string. So this number is being stored as a string value. But however, it should not be a string value because it's actually an integer. So it's a whole number, so it can't be a string. But it's actually being classed as a string. So what we need to do now is, when you get, this is usually for string input, but there's a very easy way to get it to integer input, and that's to type int and put it all in the keyword int. So now we are getting an integer input, yeah? And this could actually change, this thing here could change to whatever one. So let's say you had something that was probably going to be an integer or another data type, and you now can type string. And you see how it's purple? So that means that you're turning this into a string input. And it's the same with real numbers. You could have float. And that means that you would be using a real number. But for our case, int will be our integer number. So now let's just do print the number. So doing our output. Enter a number, let's say 5. And 5 appears. So we can get all types of things. Let's say we can say question is input. How are you? And then let's say let's print you are, and then question at the end. This should probably be answer, so that was a mistake, but oh well. It doesn't make a difference to the code. So enter a number first, of course. Enter a number, 7. How are you? Good. You are good. And I am good. So that is basic input, how to gather input from the user. Of course, now we can get multiple inputs and we could add them together. So let's say that if you were working out, let's say you were working out some sort of problems. Let's say that you had a taxi fare. Let's do taxi fare. Taxi fare. That might not be how you spell it, but that's how we're going to spell it today. So let's say that for every mile, the price is, for a taxi fare, let's say for every mile, the price would be £5 or $5. So now that we have a price of here, we're going to ask how many miles the user has travelled. So then we can actually work out the fare. So then we're going to type miles, and it's going to be an integer input, and it's going to be how many miles. That's not how you spell miles. How many miles have you travelled? And then we're going to do the final price. Our final price is going to equal the price that we have, and we're going to times it by the amount of miles, and that will be our final price. So now we're going to print UO, and then final price. How many miles have you travelled? I have travelled, let's say I've travelled 2 miles. You owe 10. We should probably say 10 pounds. You owe 10 pounds. There we go. And that is just a very simple problem that we did in about 4 lines. So I've travelled 2. Oh dear. Okay. Obviously, we need like that, I think. Oh dear. Well, what have we done wrong here? So basically, this is an integer value, and we seem to be adding it to a string value, so that won't work. So I think we'll just need a comma, I guess. And then it should work. Yes, you owe £10. Epic. So that will be the end of today's video. Hope you did enjoy. Please watch the rest of the series to get a full understanding of the previous things that we've done. If you did enjoy, please hit that subscribe button and the like button, and I will see you all dudes in the next one.